Vaughn, and Frank Wright. So come see me afterwards. Without any further ado, let's get this show on your way.
Was that my introduction right there? Was that it? Got to do this myself, I see. Well, hello, wonderful to be here. Can we mute? We'll make this work. I swear we're gonna make this work. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Dan Meyer. I'm the head of teaching at Desmos. Been working here for about a year and a half now. And I heard about this event and I was super excited to be allowed to participate in it. This is like way up there with some of our favorite things to do at Desmos. The most favorite is to actually be in classes with students, watching our stuff get used, and students learn math. Second most favorite, being local with teachers, helping them use this stuff. And a close third place is what we're doing right here, a webinar where I see your pixelated fuzzy faces on my screen. It's not quite the same as being there, but I'm super glad for it just the same. I want to take a quick second here, a few minutes, and set up some of the core values that we adhere to at Desmos, so you can look back at what you've learned today and what you'll learn for the rest of the day and say, okay, I see that there, I see that there. There's different ways to use our things such that they wind up very dry, dull, textbook-oriented exercises, or that they enliven mathematics and the students who are learning them. So let me offer a few signposts to watch for here. I'm going to share my screen really fast here. Let me, you should see yourself now. Let me pull up a presentation I've got here. Where is that? Can't find that presentation. No, I got it. Here it is. I got it. There it is. I got it. Yeah, cool. Sorry. That's great. This is where we work. This is in San Francisco, often referred to as the Golden State in California, and we work above a motorcycle shop, and you enter our offices through the door on the far right that you see there. That's where all the magic happens. And yeah, like I said, we spend most of our time in here, and we love getting out there working with teachers and students. So we have tools and activities. You've learned about both so far, I think, today. I just want to offer a few ideas about the tools, first of all. So you know what's going on. We have our oldest, most venerable tool, the graphing calculator, capable of amazing animations, illustrations, and explorations for students. But if you don't know, we also have a 4-function calculator and a scientific calculator. And what I love about these is that we apply our own spin on these older technologies. So for instance, we have the answer function, as every calculator does, but if you can go and retroactively change that, and those changes will filter down through all the rows in the scientific calculator. It's a blast. If you haven't found it already, we have desmos.com/geometry, which is where we are, our newest tool, where we are building the future of computer-based geometry. And we love a lot of the tools that exist, but we found them, one of our highest aspirations is that students would have an exceptionally simple first experience, that they can begin using mathematical tools without a lot of setup, instruction manuals, or help. So whereas a lot of other tools, they offer huge feature sets but are difficult to use at first, we're starting with a smaller feature set and making it very easy to start that palette of 5 tools over there. So give desmos.com/geometry a try. Those are our tools. And I don't know if you've seen, we had some recent really good press from USA Today and other outlets. And basically what's going on is those tools are now included on a lot of statewide assessments, including in Ohio's. In fact, I imagine you folks are through state testing by now, fingers crossed. And so you saw that your students were able to use the Desmos calculator on selected items. Our highest hope there is that you're able to then focus on non-computational learning in your math classes. So focus on analysis of functions rather than how to graph them so much, or what does the solution to a system of equations mean rather than how to find it via substitution or elimination. That's our highest hope here. That that these tools would allow you to change the math that you teach your students to be what you want it to be. A couple core values here are accessibility and amplification. That basically we want every student, regardless of disability, background, whatever, to be able to access mathematics, to recognize that they are in fact mathematical thinkers and people. And one of the huge things that we've done recently is to enable students who are blind and vision impaired to learn mathematics graphically, which you can imagine would be really challenging. I'm going to see if I can offer you an example of this. Let me pull up a calculator screen real quick. Let's see. That was just some news I was reading before I got on the line here. Let me see. I think you guys can still hear me, maybe. Watch this here. Here's the deal. I pulled my headphones out so you can hear my, my computer screen. I'm going to turn on what's called VoiceOver on my computer.
Window. Expression 1 has keyboard focus.
Feedback loop there. Basically, the deal is this: is that if
Y equal N X.
a student types
As
in
graph.
a function
Press
like
Option
this,
plus S for a summary. Press Option plus T for audio trace.
I can turn on the audio trace. This is wild. I press the audio trace, and I'll press H to hear the function. If you close your eyes, if you didn't see this, you could hear the function being played. Watch this.
Playing graph.
We did this because there's an amazing programmer who also happened to be blind, who heard from his mother, a math coach in Texas, that there's some amazing work going on with this company called Desmos. But he emailed us and said, hey, I can't see any of it. Can I help you make this accessible to people like me? And we said, definitely, for sure. And so he came along and made all this happen. He's a full-time employee now. Steve Clower is his name. And we did this out of an abundance of interest in students being able to access mathematics, no matter what they have going on. But it wound up being really important for instance, to get on your state test. It wound up being an economic advantage also, not just a moral imperative. So I love this. I love thinking about this. Watch this here.
X.
If I change this so it's 5 sine x and
Y
say
equals
1,
start frac 1 to 2. After pass
you
graph.
can hear it
Press
saying
Option
back
plus S for
the
a summary.
function to me.
Press Option plus T for audio trace.
If I trace this one, if I hear this function, what will this one sound like? Let me hear it from you. He sounds silly even across the distances between us here. It still sounds silly. Let me try this here.
Audio playing.
Nice, kind of a lazier, slower, with a higher and lower pitch at the extremes than the last one there. One thing you can't hear, I'm gonna plug myself back in here really fast. If you can hear me say go Dubs, no? Okay, all right, I assume you got me. Okay, cool. So here's the thing is, that what you couldn't hear is when you go below the x-axis, you get kind of this like fuzzy sound like being underwater. And when you hit the maxima and minima and the roots, you get a little delightful popping sound that alerts you to the points of interest, the extreme points. And then also, as it plays from left to right, it actually moves through my headphones from left to right. You know, when I talk about like our core values, like we want our tools to help students access and amplify, like you shouldn't believe me. You shouldn't believe any of us, any company that says that. You know, say show, don't tell me. And this is me trying to show you our commitment to helping students access mathematics. We find, for instance, there's a lot of the math that I learned and you might have learned as kids. Like I just found this sort of thing, like there's so much power in other technologies, but a lot of it, it's difficult to access because I find myself doing a lot of button pressing and recipe following. I wind up having to, you know, place my mathematical thinking as a servant to the tool rather than the tool serving my mathematical thinking. And that's the goal. So if you at any point today, like feel like, you know what, I am not thinking mathematically. I'm trying to decode the limitations of the technology. It's not amplifying my mathematical thinking. You should hop on Twitter, mash that tweet button, hit @Desmos, and just like tell us about it, or drop me an email, Dan@Desmos, and we'll fix that. Our team, this is one of our highest values, that the technology would not get in the way of your students' mathematical thinking, that in fact it would amplify that thinking. We love the Steve Jobs quote. He talks about the computer is like a bicycle for the mind. And just remember, like when you rode a bicycle for the first time, how amazing it is, how such little effort from your legs propelled you so fast and so far. That's the same kind of ratio that we want our technology to provide you and your students' mathematical thinking. That's the tools. And we also have activities that are worth mentioning. And I would just say something that motivates us for activities is to think about what your students are doing with their devices before school and after school versus what they do during school. So what we noticed and we thought about is that before school and after school, your students are using their devices in order to create and also to share their creations. And what they create might be as trivial as a text message, or it might be a video or a snap or a photo for Instagram or whatever it might be. They are creative individuals and they use their devices in order to share their creations. And we look at that and we ask ourselves, well, what are they using those devices for during school? Like, are they creating? If so, what? Are they sharing? If so, with whom? And the results were really sad to us. And so we've started creating activities aimed at rectifying that difference. So for instance, what we see in a lot of schools with devices is that what the students are doing is they're not sharing socially. Plugged in with headphones into computers, and they are sharing with the box in front of them. Like their mathematical thinking, their best thinking goes into a black box, which evaluates it and gives them a grade back. And here we have a primary school, and so there are primary colors scattered here and there. Here we have a middle school, and it looks even more call center like than the primary school did. And this, you know, I hope you all feel a twinge of revulsion and disappointment at this arrangement. This does not reflect our best values as math educators. I don't think it's lonely stuff. And so what I notice also is how much math software resembles tax software. Like once you see this, you can't unsee this. But like, you know, April came and went, and a lot of you folks use TurboTax, and TurboTax is, I think, amazing software. I'm appreciative of TurboTax. I'm very glad that I only use it for a few hours every mid-April. But imagine doing this kind of work, entering numbers into blanks and filling in drop-down menus. You know, this is the work of math education online also, sadly. Clicking multiple choice buttons, typing numbers into blanks, hitting submit, getting evaluated. And so we are noticing those disparities, what students use with their devices outside of class versus in class. And then the fact that technology, math ed tech looks a lot like tax technology also. And so we are working at fixing that. We have tools or activities that you might have seen already. Look up marble slides, where you have students who are creating slides that convey a marble through some stars, and just the satisfaction they get through that creative process. We have activities like Waterline, where we invite students not just to graph. It's a very common older activity where you draw a graph of what the water level in a glass of a certain shape looks like over time. And that's a common activity, but we enable students to create their own glass and then to share that with their classmates. And the classmates then go and treat that. They actually solve their students' problems. They solve their classmates' glass. And so those glasses get, as you can see in this picture, they get a little bit wacky. Like there's some wacky glasses there. And it's just wild to see, like when the audience for student work is not just a black box. For student work is not even just their teacher, the adult, but when the audience for student work and thinking is other students, just how much more motivating and thoughtful they become. So we have like students that like he's been working on his water line graph in every period since yesterday. And you know, you and I might get very excited about that. I can't imagine that his other teachers in his other classes were excited about him doing his mathematics work in those classes. But I'm thrilled. That right there is the example to me of how we can create activities that allow students to create and to share their creations with each other. Here is that student, the face of concentration, according to the teacher, Leanne Allen. So I'm not sure what's coming up next for you folks, where this moment, you and I, this brief 15 minutes, falls inside your day. Go through our activities and realize that we have in our text inputs in our activities. By default, we make it so that students see 3 of their classmates' responses. It's a small thing, but it's a constant way that we emphasize, hey, you are not just talking to the black box. Your work and your thoughts are shared with each other. That setting can be deactivated. We have it on by default. You may be tempted to deactivate it. I'm hoping that by sharing our values with you, that you would become persuaded to leave that in. And also, you know, to use, we have, for instance, other tools like on our dashboards, we have the classroom conversation toolkit. at the bottom left-hand corner. The ability to pause the class, to paste the class to certain screens, and to anonymize student names in the class. All of those tools can be used by different teachers for good and for evil, or not for evil, but for our intent or for other intents. For instance, you can use those to, we could have called those the classroom management toolkit, let's say. And so it allows teachers to keep a really tight rein on the class and make it so they can only go from one question to the next that the teachers dictate. But we are calling it the classroom conversation toolkit in the hopes that you would see that and say, okay, I need to learn how to use these in order to facilitate conversations, not to control my class. So you might decide that when you want to talk about student errors or incomplete understandings, you might anonymize the class's name so no one gets hurt or offended. Or you might say to yourself, like, so how would I pace my class? You can pace your class on the very first screen so that you're able to introduce the activity with them and then turn them loose, all in the service of conversation, not in the service of management. I'm offering you folks our values, not as hopefully not as empty rhetoric or words. Hopefully you see how we back those up in our technology and our work, but also so that you could help us broadcast those values. Our values are nothing. Our technology is nothing without you folks carrying it into the classes and the schools to use it with people who need it most, our students. I'm here, and for letting me have a brief moment to show off what I'm so excited about, what we do every day, every week here at Desmos. I'd love to take a few minutes if there's any questions that I can help answer as the only representative of Desmos Inc. In the room. I'm so grateful for Kristen, Robert, the gang for setting this up. But if I can offer any perspective or answers from inside the room above the motorcycle shop in the Golden State, California, like let me know. What do you have?
So if you have a question, you can just come up. He can just stand right here because that's going to be the best way for him to pick you up on the mic. Feel free. This is your chance to. Bob's got a question.
Dan, this is Bob. Robert. Quick question about the Desmos geometry features. When can you give us an idea those are going to be integrated into the activity builder? That we can use Desmos/geometry in the activity builder.
Great question. One that our faculty would love, our teachers on site would love to know the answers to also. We currently are experimenting with that. There is a checkbox that makes it available. We haven't made it public yet because we're still working out some kinks, but it's on the list. It'll happen.
Awesome.
Hi, Dan. This is Janice from Akron Public Schools. My question is, in 30 seconds or less, why Desmos?
Desmos, the name?
No, not the name. I know about that one. I think I know the answer to that question, but my question is why Desmos? Like, give me a 30-second pitch.
Why Desmos versus like other tools, or how do you mean?
Very open-ended. Interpret that however you'd like.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I would like probably like record the last 15 minutes and then play it back like really, really fast to 30 seconds. I think that we have values that reflect the best knowledge of math education and how it works, and we also have amazing technologists and designers and teachers working together better than any other team that exists right now. I think is, obviously I'm biased, I wouldn't say that, but we have a highly functional team making some of the best technology infused with the best math education know-how that is around.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan. We are hearing a rumor that Desmos will be the graphing calculator incorporated in Ohio State tests coming up. Can you clarify that? Can you comment on that at all?
Ohio is not saying.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So one of two things just happened about 10 minutes ago. Or I blew some news that I shouldn't have blown. But let's just say conversations are ongoing, perhaps. Yeah, this is not my department, and I thought I knew this was already happening. Anyway, so I've definitely confused matters more than I've clarified.
I think Eli mentioned it at CTF.
He tends to be pretty knowledgeable about stuff around here, so.
We got a question over here.
Just holler it. Have Kristen rebroadcast. You can just yell it from where you are, and Kristen will rebroadcast it out, perhaps.
Yeah,
He's right here.
Jason Helmgarden, formerly in Sonia Local Schools, currently unemployed. But if you have a fellow teacher that doesn't like using technology in the classroom, what's the best way to convince them that Desmos is a good way to use, or something good to use in the classroom and a good use of time?
That's a good question. I struggle with this a lot in our coaching and professional development work. I just think that the best thing that we can do, whether it's Desmos or problem-based learning, 3-Act Math, SW 180, whatever it is, just to experience it firsthand, to have your colleagues experience whatever it is firsthand as a student in the role of a student, unburdening themselves of the questions like, well, how would I do this in my class? I don't have a cart of Chromebooks yet, or whatever. Just like, is this enjoyable for you? Do you feel yourself learning math in a way that you hadn't before? Perhaps you experience, like if a 30-year veteran who's hostile to technology experiences a mathematical insight for the first time in a while, like that moment of energy can be then channeled into, well, okay, we agree then this has been interesting. Is that, like, what are the logistical issues at inviting your students to experience math and technology in this way also? Whether it's a 30-year veteran or a 1-year veteran, whoever is uncomfortable with technology or whatever the reason is, that I just experience whatever the innovation is, technology or pedagogy, through the eyes of a student first.
Hey Dan, Scott Mitter. I'm kind of curious, are you guys in any talks with College Board, AP, SAT, ACT about integrating Desmos into those tests? ACT is now online, so just curious there.
Yeah, so are we. There's things I can say and can't say. I would just say, like, we obviously recognize that our route to success will involve people not having to use hardware calculators on these high stakes exams. Like, we are not at all blind to the need for us to be involved in those conversations. So yeah, we have conversations all the time with different people. If you folks know anybody who has any influence over those decisions, let us know. We're always looking for help there. Honestly, like the best thing that we've done to motivate those high stakes organizations to take a strong look at Desmos is to get testimonials from folks like you. So if that's something that you would be interested in contributing to, just a brief word about, I don't know, we had testimonials from teachers who are disappointed that they have to spend class time instructing with different technology just so students can use it on one day in May. That bothers them. And so to be able to send those to folks at College Board, the International Baccalaureate, ACT, Park, all of those has been enormously helpful. So you could contribute there. But yeah, talks are ongoing, and more than that, we just recognize how essential that is to our company's future, that we get on those exams. One question, like I'm just surprised, like when someone says to you, this is free, like Desmos is free, like I wish that educators would just like raise a skeptical eyebrow immediately and say, well, how's that going to work? So Desmos is free. I'm just like, Desmos is free for a really important reason that is essential to our success even. And we've seen other companies that offer free technology that then like it doesn't work for them. They can't keep the lights on, so they wind up putting ads in front of your students or selling your students' data or your data to other people. So you got to be really just like, hammer people like me who come along and promising what seems to be too good to be true. So like we are free because we sell our technology, our tools and our activities to publishers and testing companies and larger companies. We sell to businesses, not the teachers. And so that's resulted in a growing and thriving business no need to worry about us going out of business anytime in the near future. And even more than that, it pays off huge for us when teachers are enthusiastic in using our tools and activities. That's the sort of thing that then bubbles up to the folks who work at the College Board, the ACT, Park, IB, all of those. So it's in our best interest to having lots of people using our technology for free. It winds up getting us the contracts we need to keep our business growing. But just to say, like, this is not just like us, hoping that someday we'll figure out a way to turn, free dollars into more dollars. We have a plan that it is working here. The question of myself and answered it. That's how you do that right there. Any more questions? Shall we kick you guys back to work here? It's been a treat, folks. Email me, Dan@desmos.com, if you want to ask something super personal or want to just talk shop about Game 4. Love to talk shop about Game 4. Other than that, it's been a real treat hanging out with you folks.
Hey, Dan, thanks for your time.
So long.
Appreciate it.